Dawn broke over the North Atlantic, painting the Canadian coastline with hues of rose and gold. A day like any other. Until it wasn't. On the horizon, a shape emerged from the early morning mist. It was not the familiar silhouette of a fishing vessel, nor the imposing figure of a cargo ship. This was something different, something colossal, something alien. The colossal vessel, a monolith of steel and unknown alloys, lay beached on the shore as if deposited by the tide itself. Its hull, a dark gunmetal grey, was unbroken, unmarked by the journey that brought it here. There was an eerie silence clinging to the ship, a silence that spoke volumes in the face of the roaring waves crashing against its bow. This was no ordinary vessel, this was a mystery, an enigma wrapped in rivets and steel, and it had come to rest on their shores. News of the beached behemoth spread like wildfire. Fishermen, their faces etched with a mixture of awe and apprehension, returned to port with tales of the steel giant. The Coast Guard, alerted to the unusual sight, scrambled their helicopters. From the air, the ship was even more imposing. Its sheer size dwarfed the fishing boats that had gathered at a safe distance. The Coast Guard crew, seasoned veterans of the sea, exchanged uneasy glances. They had never encountered anything like it. The ship's design was entirely unfamiliar. It lacked the hard angles and sharp lines of modern warships. Instead, its hull flowed in smooth, organic curves, like a predator of the deep. There were no visible markings, no flags, no indication of its origin. It was a ghost ship, a phantom of the waves, and it had come bearing questions that no one had the answers to. A sense of trepidation hung in the air, thick and palpable, as if the very atmosphere was warning them of the unknown. The Coast Guard team, armed and cautious, approached the ship with a mix of determination and unease. They circled it, their inflatable boats dwarfed by the silent giant, a behemoth that loomed over them like a sleeping titan. Every rivet, every weld seemed to hum with an unknown energy, as if the ship itself was alive, holding secrets within its metallic skin. There was no sign of life aboard, no movement, no sound, just an eerie stillness that seemed to stretch on forever. No crew, no lights, no sound save for the relentless beating of the waves against the hull, a rhythmic reminder of the ocean's power. It was as if the ship itself was holding its breath, waiting for something or someone to break the silence. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they located an open hatch, a gateway into the unknown. With weapons drawn, they cautiously boarded the vessel, each step echoing in the hollow silence. Inside, they were met with an eerie silence, broken only by the creaking of the ship and the pounding of their own hearts, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. The air was cold, stale, heavy with the scent of ozone and something else, something indefinable yet strangely familiar, like a distant memory. The corridor before them stretched into darkness, the only light coming from the open hatch behind them, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. They were stepping into the unknown, each step taking them deeper into the mystery that awaited within the ship's darkened corridors. The interior of the ship was as baffling as its exterior. Corridors, devoid of any right angles, pulsed with an internal luminescence. Strange symbols, etched into the walls, seemed to writhe and shift under the beam of their flashlights. The technology within was beyond anything they had ever encountered. Consoles, crafted from materials that seemed to defy classification, hummed with an energy that sent shivers down their spines. Screens displaying intricate three-dimensional images flickered to life at their touch. There were weapon systems unlike anything they had ever seen, capable of unleashing unimaginable firepower. And yet there was no sign of ammunition, no trace of conventional weaponry. It was as if the ship itself was a weapon. Every discovery only deepened the mystery. Who built this ship, and for what purpose? The answers, it seemed, lay buried deep within the heart of the vessel, waiting to be unearthed. Days turned into weeks as teams of scientists, engineers, and linguists descended upon the ship. The world held its breath, watching, waiting for answers. But the ship, it seemed, was in no hurry to reveal its secrets. The symbols, painstakingly photographed and analyzed, remained indecipherable. The technology, though clearly advanced, was based on principles that eluded even the brightest minds. It was like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Then came a breakthrough, deep within the bowels of the ship. Past corridors that seemed to shift and change, they discovered a chamber. It was circular, vast, and dominated by a single monolithic structure that pulsed with an eerie green light. As they drew closer, a low hum resonated through the chamber, growing in intensity until it filled their very bones. On the central structure, the strange symbols that adorned the ship seemed to writhe and coalesce, forming patterns, shapes, images. The images were fleeting, ephemeral, yet undeniably clear. They painted a picture of the cosmos that was both beautiful and haunting. They spoke of stars, of galaxies spiraling through the void, each one a beacon of light in the vast darkness. They hinted at beings unlike anything they had ever imagined, creatures that defied earthly understanding. The beings moved with a grace that seemed to defy gravity, their movements fluid and mesmerizing. Their forms shifted and changed like smoke in the wind, constantly evolving and adapting. There were cities, vast and sprawling, shimmering under the light of alien suns, each one a marvel of architecture and technology. There were machines, sleek and powerful, that moved with an effortless grace, their purpose unknown, but their design impeccable. And there was something else, something darker, lurking in the shadows of the cosmos. A vast nebulous cloud shot through with streaks of crimson and violet, pulsed ominously in the depths of space, a harbinger of unknown threats. It seemed to writhe and coil, a cosmic predator stalking its prey, its movements deliberate and menacing, and at its heart they saw it, a presence that was both captivating and terrifying, a single malevolent eye staring back at them across the gulf of space and time as if it knew their deepest fears. The images vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind a silence that was deafening and profound. The silence was not just an absence of sound, but a presence in itself, echoing through the vast emptiness of space. They had been granted a glimpse into another world, another reality, one that was both wondrous and terrifying. But what did it mean? What message was the cosmos trying to convey through this silent language? The discovery of the chamber and the images it contained sent shockwaves through the global community. Theories ran rampant, from the mundane to the outlandish. Was this a message, a warning, or something else entirely? The ship, once a silent enigma, now seemed to whisper with 1,000 voices, each one telling a different story. The scientists, once eager to unlock its secrets, now approached their work with a newfound sense of caution. They were no longer dealing with just advanced technology. They were dealing with something far more profound, something that challenged their very understanding of the universe. And then, just as suddenly as the ship had appeared, it began to change. The hum that had permeated its depths intensified, becoming a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated in their teeth and bones. The lights, once a steady blue, began to flicker and pulse. The ship was awake, and it was preparing to leave. The evacuation order came swiftly, a desperate scramble to clear the ship before whatever force animated it decided to reveal itself. The air was thick with tension, every creak and groan of the ship amplifying the sense of impending doom. But one man refused to leave. His eyes were fixed on the ship as if he could see something no one else could. Dr. Emily Carter, the lead linguist on the project, had become obsessed with the ship, with its secrets. She had spent countless hours poring over every inch of its interior. She believed that the answers they sought lay not in the technology itself, but in the language, in the symbols that adorned its walls. These symbols, ancient and mysterious, held the key to unlocking the ship's true purpose. As the last of the evacuation team scrambled off the ship, Emily remained, her determination unwavering, her fingers flying across a glowing console, her mind racing with possibilities and theories. The symbols, once indecipherable, now seemed to speak to her, their meaning unfolding in her mind like a blooming flower. She had found it, the key to understanding the ship, its purpose, its creators. It was all there, hidden in plain sight, the key to understanding the ship, its purpose, its creators. She felt a surge of triumph, but also a pang of fear. But as she reached for the console, ready to unlock the ship's secrets, the ship lurched violently beneath her feet. The ground seemed to shift, throwing her off balance. The hum became a roar, the lights flared, casting eerie shadows on the walls, and Emily braced herself for the unknown, knowing that whatever came next would change everything. The world watched in stunned silence as the ship, with Emily Carter still aboard, rose from the waves. It hovered for a moment, a silent monolith against the setting sun, before shooting skyward, disappearing into the clouds with a sound like a thunderclap. The ship was gone, vanished without a trace. The answers it held, the secrets it possessed, went with it. The world was left with more questions than answers, its understanding of the universe forever altered. What was the purpose of the ship? Who were its creators? And what became of Emily Carter? These questions echoed in the silence left behind, a haunting reminder of the day the unknown came to call. The ship, it seemed, was more than just a vessel. It was a message, a testament to the vastness and mystery of the universe, and a chilling reminder that we are not alone.